Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the March 4th Imperial Beach City Council meeting. And right now, we're just going to reconvene the closed session. Deputy City Attorney Mitchell will report out on closed session. Or Lyon. I'm not sure why it says Mitchell.
That's okay.
Okay, Lyon. Yes, thank you.
Yes, the council met in closed session on items 1 through 3. Direction was given. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
And now I adjourn the closed session meeting. And now we call the regular meeting to order of March 4th, 2020. As a courtesy to others, please silence your cell phones during the meeting and engage in conversations outside the chambers. City Clerk has an announcement.
If you are here to speak on an item on the agenda or under public comments, please fill out a request to speak form located in the back of the room and turn it into staff once it's completed. Thank you.
Great. And now please rise as City Manager Andy Hall leads us in the pledge. Oh, we have to take roll. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway. Well, we can rise for roll, but anyway.
Simon says.
Councilmember Patton.
Here.
Councilmember West.
Here.
Councilmember Spriggs.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McGarry.
Here.
Mayor Dedina.
Present. And now you can please rise. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we have
Nothing to report except go Mariners. Mar Vista Mariners.
Yes. So just one thing, we have extended the application period for the community involvement on the San Diego Community Power. And if you are interested, the closing will actually close this Friday, March. So it is, if you go to the website, it's sandiego.gov website. San Diego Community Power, we're looking for community involvement from our community to be a part of it. And it is actually, we're looking for 2 volunteers. IB, just want you to know, we should be proud, has the most volunteer participants on all the cities per capita. So it's a great thing for our community. And we met on February 27th where we discussed a regional energy resilience discussion based here in San Diego County, which would mean we would have our own energy base right here in our community and be able to provide it to our cities. And then on one future thing, on March 21st, Zeke, I know you'll be happy to hear this, but at 9:30 to 12, starting at Bikeway Village, we're going to be doing a slow roll bicycle and mural tour. So that actually starts at March 21st at 9:30 in the morning. We'll start at Two Wheels Cyclery, and then we'll go to about 4 of the 5 different murals, and then end at the Burb mural, and then at Mike Hess. So great, that's it.
Spriggs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the 20th and 21st of last month, I, as a board member, attended the League of California Cities board. The governor actually joined us for part of that board meeting. And one of the really most important things during the time I've been associated with the League came up, and that is a discussion of the League taking, and I mentioned this, I think, at the last council meeting that it was going to come up, a very strong position to get ahead of the curve on affordable housing and to adopt some policies and approaches that the city members, and there's 487 members, 487 cities are members of the League of California Cities, some guidance and recommendations and essentially a policy statement for all of the cities, giving them a menu of activities that they could adopt or measures that they could adopt to create a better environment for housing production. I hope we have an agenda item on this in the future because it's really important for Imperial Beach as well to be part of this. The alternative, and I think the reason why the board adopted this measure, which some didn't like that much because it's actually making them responsible for doing more. The pressure was on because, A, the governor was coming, and we wanted to the board wanted to have a positive conversation with him about the league not being naysayers on housing, but being ahead of the curve. And secondly, because in the presentation made it very clear leading up to the vote that we have a very progressive state legislature now, both houses, as well as the governor. And the legislation is going to be coming onto the cities 3 or 4 times stronger than in the past to actually increase housing production, even to the extent that local land use regulation and the ability of local governments to manage land use regulation will be further withered away. So that's the balance. You know, do we get ahead of the curve, we as Imperial Beach, as well as the league as a whole, or do we basically become, I don't want to say victims, but I would say, do we basically have our rights as citizens at the local government level and our authority as elected city officials withered away by state preemption of, further preemption of our ability to manage land use when it comes to affordable housing. So it passed about 45 to 2 or 3. And we then had a very, I think, positive discussion, very robust discussion with the governor about it. And I do want to report out in more detail on this with some of the specific measures that were discussed that all cities should consider implementing to create a better environment on the ground for affordable housing development. On turning to the other area that I've been really intimately involved in on the state level, which is sea level rise and working with the league's coastal cities, all 61 of them, to come up with some approaches with the Coastal Commission. Again, affirmative approaches that create a better environment for resolution that protects local decision making and at the same time addresses environmental concerns and the state regulatory framework, rather than having that state regulatory framework basically tell us what to do. I'm on a small working group with a couple commissioners and senior staff of the Coastal Commission and my county counterpart who represents the counties of the state. We will be having a conference call to talk about this working group's scope of work for this year. We had one meeting late last year already, and then we'll be having a meeting in Sacramento, a face-to-face meeting on the 19th of this month. One of the key issues that, the 2 key issues that we're going to be talking about are whether we should be supporting SB 45, which is a measure to provide a lot more funding for coastal infrastructure, protection, adaptation, etc. And and that's almost a no-brainer. I think we can all agree on that, but then there's the issue we don't agree on, which is the proper role of the Coastal Commission in promoting policies like managed retreat as a sort of one-size-fits-all approach for every city to have to address in their local coastal program, regardless of the conditions. And I made sure that we had that on the agenda when we had our workshop with the Coastal Commission last July. We have another workshop that'll be scheduled for this November, and this small working group will be trying to bridge some of the gaps leading up to that meeting in November. So we expect to meet as a working group about 3 or 4 times between now and the November major workshop between the coastal cities and counties and the Coastal Commission. So I'll keep you all informed about this. It has direct impacts on our town and our prerogatives, et cetera. And it's an honor to be involved in this work at this level. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem McGarry.
Thank you. So February 21st, I attended, along with Mayor Dedina, a meeting convened by Yana Garcia, the Deputy Secretary of Cali, PA. She had a number of us, representatives from different cities and other agencies, to predominantly to listen to us and listen about our concerns and priorities regarding how we tackle cross-border pollution. I thought that was really great. This administration, the Newsom administration, has shown nothing but, leadership on this issue. We've already been visited by, Lieutenant Governor Kounalakis, in addition to the Cali PA folks. So that's really encouraging. This year, she informed us that there's a $35 million request on behalf of Governor Newsom that was actually considered, I believe today or yesterday, that, she mentioned that if we had the ability to send in letters of support, we should. So Mayor Dedina and myself sent a joint letter of support to the Senate Budget Subcommittee and the Assembly Budget Subcommittee supporting this request. And my understanding is that the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce sent one as well, and Mayor Faulkner sent a letter of support. So hopefully that will bear fruit so that we can have those resources to mitigate some of the cross-border pollution that impacts our beaches here. And then on February 27th, I attended the Public Security Committee, of which I'm vice chair, where we had a presentation from staff at our direction from the previous meeting on a diversion program. What would it look like? And by diversion program, we're looking at options on how to decriminalize, perhaps, if that's even an option, fare evasions and allow them to be a civic infraction so that our agency, one, doesn't continue to spend so many resources on that, and two, so that it doesn't have impacts on our public security system or transit system for that matter. So we are looking at all the different options. There's a lot of other cities that have taken that approach that have proven to be successful. We have some of the lowest fare evasion rates in the city, so we want to maintain that as well. So we're going to continue to work on that. And then finally, on February 28th, I attended the SANDAG meeting on behalf of MTS as its representative, and I'm sure Mayor Dedina will update you on that. So thank you. I mean, there was just a legislative update and what the priorities for the year will be. And of course, there was a lot of discussion on some of the changes that are happening at the national level regarding the National Environmental Policy Act. Environmental regulations at the state level continue to be strong. So we just got an update on that.
Good. Okay. Last Friday, I'm the chair of the Borders Committee at SANDAG, and we had the annual meeting of folks from Mexico and an additional border-related committee called COBRO from SANDAG. So it's a good opportunity to have folks in the room from all levels of government in Mexico, including the President Lopez Obrador's border advisor, Pedro Mural, as well as state officials and city officials from Tijuana. The sewage issue is controlled by the state and the federal government. So what was great is that we had 4 residents from IB, Dave Waller, Vivian Marquez Waller, Mitch McKay, and then Bethany Case, who gave really great public testimony in the public comment period, because the meeting wasn't about sewage, but really focused on the impacts to IB and the fact the problem's getting worse. Dave Waller, in particular, who's a chemist, and I think he has like 5 or 6 degrees, an engineer, has his own engineering company, gave arguably one of the most impactful statements on the sort of chemicals in the water and the impact on public health that I've ever seen. Like really, really, really impactful. I was sitting next to the consul of Mexico in San Diego, who I know was taking furious notes, and that elicited a response. And then, so that was really, thanks, Mitch. And I know that I thanked everybody. I don't think I thanked you, but I saw you afterwards. I can't remember if I did or not. But anyway, it was very, very impactful. We really hadn't had that kind of really focused discussion before. And I know a lot of the folks from Mexico were really embarrassed. A lot of our new officials, they don't have any oversight over the sewage agency, but definitely the president's advisor heard it. The consul of Mexico heard it, and he talked about how they are making plans to get these pump stations open. So that's good. The pump station was opened recently, and the flow went down to 0 on Sunday, and of course, then it rained for 10 minutes, and now, or whatever, overnight. Now the flow is at 35 million gallons a day. We really have been emphasizing that the issues double the problem now, way worse than ever. Today I was going through trying to clean up my city email box, and the last 6 months, really, and actually, and longer. And what I saw was just email after email after email after email of reports on spills. 14 million gallons, 15 million gallons. That was in the summer, or in the fall, late summer, early fall. But at least there were reports. And then we had a period, and then our responses, our lawyers responding, our consultants from Monarch responding, like just flurry of IB initiated, like what is going on, this has to stop. And then, of course, we had another period in November when it started raining where the flows were off the charts, and Chris Helmer initiated, our environmental director, another series of emails like, what is going on? Here's the flow. It's crazy. And a little bit of response, but really the reporting pretty much stopped for like 2 months, which was interesting. So, and terrible. So I think that's something we all have emphasized, is that essentially there's no effort to be transparent or accountable at all at any level. So we thought we were going to be meeting with the EPA to talk about the options for infrastructure on the U.S. side of the border on Monday. That meeting's been postponed. We just found out today. So we'll be following up with that. But we're definitely putting more pressure on Mexico again. And so it's important that we continue having that IB continue to put pressure. It really helps to have sober, very sort of like solid citizen engagement where it's like fact-driven. It really, really does help. And that, I think Dave's real science-driven. And Vivian Marquez is also an really high-level environmental consultant and biologist. So she gave a really good sort of more environmental professional framework. So, but, you know, everything helps. So anyway, that's where we're at, and we'll continue to push. But I think we all thought we were making progress, and we have, but we've gone backwards for sure right now. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate. So with that, I think Tyler Fultz has an announcement.
Yeah,
wait, one more thing, sorry. Girls water polo, yes. So weekend before last, Mar Vista girls water polo team won CIF San Diego Section Division II. Huge achievement, great program, amazing girls. They've all been playing together and swimming together for a long time. And that meant that they didn't used to have state CIF championships in California. It's new. I know my son went to state for swimming, not when he was a senior or junior, and it was brand new. And so it's all new doing that. So we've never had a team from Mar Vista go to state championships ever. And so they were the first. So they won, had to play excruciatingly hard finals and semis, et cetera. And then they're like, oh, yeah, now you get to go up to L.A. and play for the Southern California Regional Championships, which is essentially state championships, Division III. And they did. And last Saturday afternoon, I know I started getting a flurry of texts from parents who are super proud. And then Andy's texting all the city staff. So anyway, they won this first time in IB history, state regional championships, CIF, huge deal. So I was able to go meet the girls on Monday morning right before class with the principal of Mar Vista and parents and grandparents. Shell Quinones is a proud polo grandma. And so it was very nice, wonderful girls, amazing, like really impressive girls. And what Chad will emphasize, they're not just great athletes, they're great students, really, really impressive students. And honestly, you can really tell that they're a great team. So we're looking at holding the first ever, maybe it happened in the past, but parade for them, like a smaller kind of parade we thought we were going to have a pep rally, but Sweetwater School District is really in tough straits right now financially. So they emphasize they don't have the money for that. So what we thought we'd do is work with our firefighters, lifeguards, and others to sort of escort the girls to Pier Plaza. Hopefully we can work this out. This is all tentative. And then honor them with Andy Hall, our amazing city manager, ordered keys to the city. They actually make keys to the city. So we have these cool keys with the IB logo on it. So now the girls did tell me that they thought maybe if they get pulled over by the sheriffs in the future, they'd show their keys to the city. So we'll have to make that announcement to the sheriffs that don't accept the keys from the city from the girls. So anyway, I did let them know that wouldn't be happening. So anyway, but really proud of the girls and really excited. And we're going to create a perpetual trophy at City Hall with them on the first of it to acknowledge any team that obviously becomes a state champion. So anyway, we were going to have them here next week too, right? Oh no, we can't because they're on a swim team. They're all on at a swim meet as well. So.
Tentatively, we're looking at the 13th.
13th of March.
Yeah,
okay,
we'll
good.
see if that
Anyway,
works.
good. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tyler. That was it.
This is to inform the council and everybody in the public that on March 9th, there's going to be an event at the library to discuss the census. That's going to start being mailed out next week. March 12th is when it starts to come to your homes, and throughout the month of March. It's going to be the first census where you can put your information online. And at this event on March 9th, it's from 6 to 7 p.m. at the library. There's going to be refreshments. I know that's always good, some snacks. And the presentations are going to be in English and Spanish. So just information for that.
Public comment, any other additional comments at all? Great. Okay, we have public comments. Lori Strubler. You have to come up, Lori. Yeah. Lori's followed by Josie Hamada, and then Leonard Miranda, and then Terry Skelly. Yeah, and just press the green. Just press the button there so it turns green so you can talk.
The green button. There it goes. Thank you for inviting me up here tonight. And I would just like to make a few comments on some areas of Imperial Beach. I live on Spruce Street, and in between us is Donix and Thorn, and in between those are two walkways. I guess you call them little alleyways. What would you call them, alleyways? And recently I noticed that there's been nice construction and improvements on Donix and also on Thorn. And the construction that they did on Thorn looks really great, and same thing on Donix. But recently there's been some kind of a piece of wood that has blocked the alleyway, so anybody riding a bike or walking, especially at night, it's not lit very well. You can trip over this, and I'm afraid the city might get sued. So that's one of my concerns. And then also on our street on Spruce, where it goes up the alleyway, which is right now it's dirty. It's dirt with weeds that are not maintained. There is one neighbor that does go out there and take a weed whacker out to it. But that's muddy a lot of the times when we get rain. And we have one gentleman that I live next door to, and he's always telling me he can't go down that way because he has an electric wheelchair. So that's some concerns too, because he has to go around the block. And not that it's a big deal, but it's an electric wheelchair, and he definitely is challenged because he's in a wheelchair. And I just think it'd be good if the city would fix that alleyway too. It's nice. I walk my dog that way and throughout other blocks, of course. And I just think it's important that the city be consistent with their improvements. I think it'd be really good.
Great. And we're going to embarrass Lori because her husband is the legendary John Strubler, author of the book on history of surfing in IB. So great to have you here. It's first time at the city council meeting, right?
It is.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll follow up on that. And Josie Hamada.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Today I would like to report, because yesterday I was a poll watcher. And what I want to report is that after 5.5 years of working with Mr. Vu, everything is done right. But I have my concern. My main concerns are two. One is the fact that there was not a polling place in District 4, in the new district. There is a new precinct, 442030, and that is 1375 voters. And so when I went to the Latter-day Rains, that's where it is. The folks that were in charge of the 442030, they were kind of really baffled because all of the colors that belong to Imperial Beach are all one color, which happens to be yellow. So the 44, right. So what happened was that the 442030, which is a new one, was green. And so the regular one, the 442, that was the one for the regular 700, that was yellow. So when I got there, I looked at that. I knew it was a new precinct. So they didn't know what to do. I go, you know what, folks? This is a new precinct because Imperial Beach is going to have district elections come November. So the young man that was in charge, Fred, he comes over. I said, all you need to do is say new district November elections. So my question is, I would appreciate it if the city work with Mr. Vu to ensure that District 4 has polling places. So they don't have to go all the way to 13th Street. And then what happens with normal folks, if you've got to go really far, you're not going to vote. Especially in Area 4, I think we have to really look at that. So I would appreciate if you really look into that.
Thanks for bringing that to attention, and we'll definitely follow up on that. Appreciate it. And now we have Leonard Miranda.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you very much. I'm here again to speak on the cannabis dispensaries. And last time I was here, I explained why I'm going to do this 7-8-part mini-series here for you on dispensaries. But the negative impacts of these dispensaries since they've been legalized, the data is rolling in, and it's pretty compelling. The impact to law enforcement at a state and local level has been really bad. Newsom just explained that illegal grows are worse than ever since making it legal. And the impact to public health, social services are all rolling in, and the data's coming in. So I want to continue to share that information. And with this limited time frame we have here, I'm just going to focus on one report right now, and that's going to be one from Sandag. You're all very familiar with Sandag. And this is on juvenile arrestee drug use in San Diego region. And some background for that Sandag report, what they use is what they call a SAM model. And that SAM model, basically, it's a little more objective, pretty accurate. Usually you depend on self-reporting, interviews and things like that. In this case, they actually talk to juvenile arrestees that are in custody or they're talking to, and they take urine samples and they actually look what's in their system. So it's pretty accurate information. And so that SAM model is supported by San Diego, HIDA, Imperial County, High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. It's sponsored by San Diego County, member agencies of Sandag, so a lot of stakeholders that are involved in this. So what were the key findings? And those key findings were this. Recent drug use is at a 19-year high. Over 2/3 of the youth that were interviewed reported using all three of the gateway drugs, and that'd be marijuana, tobacco, and alcohol. The other thing was that the mean age was 12 years old. And I think that's why I'm here. I think I want to give our kids that are 12 years old in this community a chance. Unlike other communities where they're out there like candy stores, these dispensaries, don't want to see them here. The other thing is the initiating substance that's used by kids. The winner of that over alcohol and tobacco was marijuana. And I think the problem is that the messaging isn't really clear sometimes from our political leaders, from everyone else, because there's so much propaganda out there. Millions and millions have been spent on this. But here's the interesting thing. When they polled these kids, 11% of those kids thought marijuana was bad for you. 33% thought alcohol is bad for you, and a higher percentage thought tobacco is bad for you. But marijuana is okay. And the problem with that is the kids are perceiving that this is not dangerous, but science is going the exact opposite direction, saying the developmental brain, all the scientific stuff is saying this is a neurotoxin. That's what they call it. They call it a brain poison. So why in the world we would want to consider that as the information's coming through, and it's very clear. Again, there's a lot of propaganda out there saying that marijuana's made strides and people feel better, and they may feel better. We're not concerned about the people that use it for the medicinal side of the shop, but recreational is a different thing.
So, can you wrap it up? You have 5 seconds.
I do. I just saw that. I was going to wrap it up. Anyway, so next time around, what I'm going to talk about is why that perception might be that way, why 11-year-olds. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thanks. And now we have Terry Scully.
Hand up. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a mother of 3 young men and a public health educator. Recently, our family received this newsletter that I'm passing out, article from USC regarding student use of electronic cigarettes or vaping devices. That is created, as the newsletter says, a youth vaping epidemic which came out of left field, baffling the medical community and legislators alike, and still shows no sign of turning down the heat. The newsletter goes on to say that in late 2019, a federal survey released by the Food and Drug Administration and Centers for Disease and Control Prevention reported a whopping 25% of the nation's high school students vaped in the last month, which is up a startling 21% from 2018, end quotes. Although this is high school data, the newsletter goes ahead and says, All one has to do is take a look around USC to see that the momentum is picking up fast. As you know, this city council voted for a ban on all flavored tobacco products. You were joined by the city of Solana Beach last week, who followed your lead. The parents of Imperial Beach thank you and would like you to consider 2 more legislative actions to protect our youth. Number 1, a letter of support for SB 793, the state legislation that will accomplish this, and if passed, eventually. And 2, for the city council members to write the opposition language for the November ballot measure, which would bring more marijuana storefronts, and city council to, needs to carefully consider this, and marijuana lounges. Regarding this, city council members write the opposition language for the November ballot measure. The citizens of Imperial Beach would be influenced by what city council has to say in this opposition language, because they know you value everyone's health, safety, and welfare. Parents and organizations that support youth would applaud this decisive action to protect teens and young adults. I know that as a parent of 3, I certainly would. Thank you for your consideration.
Great, thank you. And no more.
Motion.
Second.
Please vote. Great, thank you. And now we have.
Motion carried unanimously.
Great, now we have ordinance and introduction of first reading. Item number 1 is first reading introduction of ordinance number 2020-1194, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Imperial Beach, California, amending Chapter 2.32 of the Imperial Beach Municipal Code to expand the membership of the Parks and Recreation Committee and designating 2 appointed alternates to be the 2 new appointees on the effective date of the ordinance and setting the terms of office for those 2 appointees. City Attorney Lyon, will you give the report, please?
Thanks, Mayor. As requested by the City Council at the last meeting, this is the ordinance that essentially expands the membership of the Parks and Rec Committee from 5 to 7. And in addition to that, the council can consider with this item appointing the 2 alternates that were appointed at the last council meeting to be the new 2 new appointees, as well as you have to set their terms of office because now we have the expanded membership of 7. So if the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great, Madam Clerk, do you have any speaker slips?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Then the public comment period is now over. Any discussion of the City Council? Great. Madam Clerk, please read the title of ordinance number 2020-1194.
Ordinance number 2020-1194, an ordinance of the City Council for the City of Imperial Beach, California, amending Chapter 2.32 of the Imperial Beach Municipal Code to expand the membership of the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to entertain a motion to conduct the first reading and introduction of ordinance number 2020-1194 by title only and waive full reading of the ordinance.
So moved.
Please vote. Sorry, I did it. I think I did. I locked mine. What? Okay.
Motion carried unanimously.
Great. And now just one more item for that. So I'd like a motion to consider designating the 2 alternates, Griffin J. Goforth and Matthew Leyba Gonzalez. I think Mr. Leyba Gonzalez is here tonight to serve as the new 2 appointees on April 17th, 2020. And so I'd like to propose that we designate Griffin Goforth for a term of office expiring on December 31st, 2023, and Matthew Leyba Gonzalez for a term of office expiring December 31st, 2024 to maintain staggered terms of office.
So moved.
All right, please vote.
Who was the second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Patton. Motion by West, second by Patton.
I did press it.
Motion carried unanimously.
There we go. Thank you. And with that, I would like to adjourn the regular meeting. Thank you.